And let's move on into the next team, Sean, the Oklahoma State Cowboys, who this one, I think it's easy to decide where we are going to start for this one because this is a team, I've mentioned it before on this podcast.
Mike Gundy's hair.
Mike Gundy's hair. Well, he's a man. He's 40. Well, at this point, he's over
well
40,
over
right?
40.
He's got to be like 46.
I think he's 50.
Is he?
I'll fact check Gundy's age.
Well, no, you might be right because that could have been 2008 when he said, I'm a man. I'm 40.
August 12th, 1967. He's 50.
That was, that was 10 years ago?
He's going to be 51.
That was 10 years ago?
11 years ago.
Wow. I was in high school when that happened.
I don't know.
I remember the thing I will say, little aside here.
Yeah, welcome to your fucking OK State.
I remember that day because I remember watching Around the Horn and it being on Around the Horn and Tony Reale and them making fun of it. But the true question, I think everyone knows where we're going to go to start this one, is what the hell does this Cowboy team do at quarterback? This is a team not just losing Mason Rudolph, they're losing James Washington as well. One of, if not the best, wide receiver quarterback tandem in college football last year. Here are some of the guys. There's 4 guys that Mike Gundy could go with. Entering the spring, there was senior Taylor Cornelius, sophomore Keandre 1-2. That are 1T. Then they added this offseason, or since the spring, grad transfer from Hawaii, Drew Brown, who all he's got is basically what I'm seeing is all he's got is experience. Otherwise, he's less than stellar. Then you have a prized recruit in Spencer Sanders, who everything I've seen about this kid, read about this kid, is that dynamic dual threat, and that there are some people thinking he might be able to win the job this year for the Cowboys.
Man, I think he can. I think he should. I watched a ton of this kid, and I was super impressed on what he brought to the field. Massive dual threat quarterback. Love his game, and I think he's the most explosive player they got on the field. And right now they don't have experience. And I know we got the Hawaii transfer coming in, but it's not Big 12 experience. You know, I mean that's not Power 5 experience.
It's just experience being a starter.
It's experience playing college football, but that doesn't matter when you're not as great as an athlete like a guy like Spencer Sanders is. And I'm extremely impressed on what this kid brings to the field. So I think he might end up winning the job, maybe not right away, because Gundy might go with a guy that's been there like Taylor Cornelius or even Woodtree.
1T.
1T, thank you. 1T. But Sanders got a big arm. He can run the ball. I think he's an explosive athlete that's going to be tough for people to stop. So if it was my choice, obviously we're not there through spring camps. We're not through their summer 2 days. But I think Sanders should win the job because this kid's got a big arm. He can run. So
you know what's great though? If you start Sanders, he could go basically 5-0. Like Missouri State, win. South Alabama, win. Boise might be your toughest game.
Yeah.
Texas
but
Tech.
it's in Stillwater.
Texas Tech win. Kansas, if you don't win that game, you don't deserve to be a starting quarterback in the Big 12. So
who lost to Kansas last year?
What?
Who lost to Kansas last year? Or was it the year before that Texas lost to Kansas?
It was the year before. Kansas didn't win a single game in the Big 12 last year.
Gotcha.
And the only game that Baylor won was to Kansas in the conference. So to me, I feel like the thing, looking at this team, yes, it's bad that you have this question at quarterback, but you basically have your toughest game in the first 5 is Boise State, and it's at home. You don't even have to play at the Smurf turf. So, I mean, you got a 5-game cushion before you kind of get an opponent, and the reason I'm saying, like, kind of get an opponent is Iowa State, they're not on the level of Oklahoma, Texas, TCU, but we're expecting them to do big things. That's why we're so high. Like, we're expecting them to be good, but they could take a step back. Was last year for real, or was it a fluke? This year will answer that question.
I'm high on Iowa State. I think TCU and Oklahoma are the best 2 teams in the conference, and I think Texas is up there as well. I think they're a top 4 team, though, in the Big 12. Iowa State is. I'm really high on them, so I don't think they, even though it's at Stillwater, I think they get smoked by Iowa State because this is one of the best defenses last year. Yeah. And if you're going up against an inexperienced quarterback, no matter who it is, I think that Iowa State can really give them hell, and it might be a wake-up call because, Cowboys might be like, hey, we're 5-0. We're going to be, going to the Big 12 title game, and then you go into Iowa. You take on Iowa State, and Iowa State has one of the best defenses in the Big 12, and that might be a smash in the mouth, especially when an unexperienced quarterback that, he starts off the game the wrong way, throws one pick, that can be downhill from there.
Well, and that's why whatever quarterback you do start has to know basically, it's like there's good and bad with this, though. Like, you get a 5-game cushion to kind of feel things out, but then once you hit October 6th, you get 2 games that are not against those top teams, and Kansas State is no joke. So basically, you get 1 game in Baylor that should be an easy win for you. Then the rest of them, Iowa State, K-State on the road, Texas at home, Oklahoma on the road, West Virginia at home, TCU on the road. This could be a season for OK State where it's like, 5-0, and we're 1-5 in the last 6 games. So, I mean, this is a team, don't be surprised if they go 6-6 this year.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of on that same boat. Maybe they get 7 wins, but I don't think they beat Iowa State. I don't really know if they beat Kansas State. I think they lose to Texas. I think they lose to Oklahoma. I think they lose to TCU. West Virginia might be a toss-up because that's in Stillwater, and by then you'll have that experience. You'll playing at least a couple Big 12 games, at least for whatever quarterback does start. So that might be one that is up there. But even then, I mean, we saw what Will Grier did, and if that West Virginia team's healthy, that could be a team that might make it to the Big 12 title game. So, I'm not really high on Oklahoma State. It's just there's so many question marks, and Gundy has had great teams over the past 3 years, but having those guys leave and Mason Rudolph going to the NFL, it's going to be tough to bring it back. And I don't think it's really going to be a bad season if Gundy doesn't have a great season, but I think it probably should be expected because you're losing a lot of players. There's a lot of turnover, and great coaches do bounce back from that, and I think that Gundy can do that, and I think this is going to be a down season for Oklahoma State. I think they make it to a bowl, but I don't know if they...
6-6 team.
I think a 6-6 bowl.
Well, and another thing, you lose a lot on offense. A thing that also isn't good is, it's weird, I'll bring it up again, defense on a Big 12 podcast, but, I mean... The last, 4 seasons, 53rd, 93rd, 100th, 92nd, and then last year they averaged 79th or ranked 79th in total defense. They made a change this offseason. They bring in Jim Knowles, who was with Duke. He does inherit 7 starters on the defensive side. He's going to bring in, I believe it's the 4-2-5 scheme, not like a 3-4, now a 4-3, a 4-2-5 scheme. Is this going to help at all? Like, is this going to be a big help this year? And do you see Oklahoma State? Because I don't see their defense making a huge jump.
The biggest thing is that they bring back 7 starters. I don't think.
I just don't see them being much better than 79th in total defense.
I don't think the scheme's going to change too much. So I think, and I agree with you. I don't think it's going to be that massive a jump. I mean, this isn't going to be a top 50 defense in college football. I don't think they're going to be as bad as they once were, being 100th. But I think sticking around 79th, maybe jump up to about 60th is probably the best they can hope for. And especially bringing in a new scheme, bringing in a new defensive coordinator, it's going to be tough for them to finally take the ship and turn it up to where they're near the top of the Big 12 in defense. TCU's got a massively great defense. You look at Iowa State; they had a great defense last year. Texas had a great defense last year. I don't think Oklahoma State is up there in that level, and I don't think Knowles is going to be able to flip that over in 1 year. Now, maybe in the next couple of years, Gundy will be able to change that, but right now, I don't think that's what this is. Having those losses with players leaving, players transferring. It's a massive loss, and then also bringing in new schemes. I think this is going to be a massive year of turnover for OK State. I don't think they're going to win against the big programs, and they might get wins over Kansas, Baylor, Texas Tech, those smaller teams. But going up against those big programs, having all this turnover, not having guys that you consistently lean on like you had in Mason Rudolph, I don't think this is going to be that great of a year for OK State.
Well, and I mean, it's weird because when we say not that great of a year, if you think 6-6, think about it this way. If they go 6-6 overall, and they would go basically, what would that be? 3 wins in the conference if I'm looking at it? Yeah, 3 wins because Baylor, Kansas, Texas, Tech. So you would have 3 wins and 6 losses. That might put you last year, using last year as a barometer, That would actually put your Texas. That would be at the bottom. Like Texas Tech was 3-6.
This is what I think it's going to be. Let's look at let's take in the whole I'm a man, I'm 40 thing.
Yeah.
I think that was 2008 when that happened. 9-4 year, 9-4 year, then 11-2, 12-1, then an 8-5 year. So again, those were nine win seasons, 11, 12. Then they had a down year. Then 10-3.
But a down year being only eight wins.
Well, and then 10-3, 7-6, then 10-3, 10-3, 10-3. I think it's going to be exactly like what it was, where they have 2 9-win seasons, 11-2, 12-1. Then they jump down to 5-4 in the conference. Okay. Then they jump up to 10-3. Then they go 4-5 in the conference, and 7-2, 7-2, 6-3. I think this is where they take that jump to 5 or 4 wins in the conference. I think it's just one of those typical down years where you're losing players, you're bringing in new things, you're trying to make this team better for the future. I think that's what it's going to be like for Mike Gundy's squad this year. I don't think they're probably going to be ranked to start the season. I don't think they're probably going to hit those rankings this year, but maybe they will, because we did say they'll start 5-0. But I don't think they're going to jump past 15 or anything like that. I don't think they're going to be seen as a true threat in the Big 12.
And I don't know how much stock to put into this, but I'm going to say it anyways because I find it a little bit humorous when it comes to OK State. Last year they were 6-0 on the road. It was weird. 6-0 on the road, 3-3 at home. Like you would expect that to be flipped, where you're 6-0 at home, 3-3 on the road. If they, let's say, even come close to that 6-0 again, maybe this year could be good then. I mean, TCU on the road, Oklahoma on the road, Baylor on the road, K-State on the road, Kansas on the road. Am I saying they win all their road games again? No. But do you see that 6-0 being like, all right, this was a well-coached team on the road, or was it, they had Mason Rudolph and James Washington that balled out on the road?
I think it's both. I mean, Mike Gundy can still well-coach a team, and he also had great players in Washington and Rudolph. And then you also look at their away schedule. They went up against Pitt, blew them out, went up against South Alabama, blew them out. They went up against Texas Tech, won by 11 points or whatever. I mean, they didn't have that tough a schedule
Could
away.
have lost to Texas on the road.
Yeah, the 2 ones were Texas, which was a close game, and Morgantown, where they handled the Mountaineers. And then they had Iowa State, too, which they only won by 7. So, I mean, they won close games. They had a veteran quarterback and a veteran coach. And Matt Campbell wasn't able to right the ship there in Iowa State to get that win in Ames. Morgantown, Will Greer wasn't able to do enough to win that game. I mean, it's not too shocking that they went 6-0, and then especially looking at that home matchup, you lost to Oklahoma at home, you lost to TCU at home, 2 teams that were in the championship last year, then you lost to Kansas State at home by 5. So it's not anything too crazy. You lost against good teams at home. So especially with the massive punch in the mouth that was that Oklahoma game, where it's just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and then finally Baker pulls away and wins that game for Oklahoma. I mean, they were competitive in those games at home.
What's your bottom line for Oklahoma State? Because this is a preview that I feel like out of all the ones in the second half of the Big 12, this is pretty much the easiest because of, we have a question at quarterback, and we it's either go with experience and not lackluster, I don't want to say talent, but lackluster skill, or go with, wow, this kid's very skilled, but he might not be as experienced as we want.
I think you got to go with the skill. See what he has, throw him out there. So I would say go with Sanders, especially going up against Missouri State and South Alabama right away. I mean, you should win those games no matter who's starting at quarterback.
Get them 2 cupcakes right away.
Exactly. So I think they go 2-0 to start, then fall to 2-1. I think they lose to Boise State, then win 2 back-to-back against Texas Tech and Kansas State. Then they lose 3 straight against Iowa State, Kansas State, Texas, then beat Baylor, then lose 3 straight again, losing to Oklahoma, West Virginia, and TCU. So that's, 7 losses. So 5-7 for the Oklahoma State Cowboys.
I'm not going to be far off from you. The only thing I'm going to change is Boise State. I think they go 5-0 to start the year, and then 1-6. Like, it's going to be the classic, woo, we're 5-0, man, we're going to, and we're 1-6. Wow, that second half of the season really sucked.
I think Boise State will be. I
be.
think Boise State will be a close one. I think Iowa State will be a close one. I think Kansas State will be a close one. West Virginia will be a close one too, but I think they just end up losing those games.
Hey man, according to ESPN, we could go down to Stillwater for that Missouri State game, only $8.
Ooh,
$8 is the cheapest ticket.
Shocked they're not selling that one out.
We can go see some. What is it? The Grizzlies, the Missouri State Grizzlies, I think. And the Oklahoma State Cowboys?
No idea. Don't care. We're not previewing them.
Well, we're not. I'm going to look at it anyways. The Bears. I was Grizzly Bear. It's the same thing, but it's the Bears. I think I'm thinking of Montana is the Grizzlies. But this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you guys think down below.
And let us know your thoughts on Bears.
Yeah, on Bears. What do you expect from OK State? Are they going to be good? Will it be a bad season? Will it be an okay season? Who should start a quarterback? Let us know what you think down below in that comment section.